Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome to Content is Profit. We are back in your life and in our life. Fonzie, welcome back.
We've been back in your life.
After the weekend.
We've been back
After
all this
the weekend.
We've been hopeful in your ear
I
throughout
know.
the weekend. You binging Content is Profit episodes.
That's right. This the last couple of days we've been geeking out of in a topic that Fonzie came up to me one day. He's like, look at this chat thing that I got. And then I was like, oh, that's super cool, but I don't have access to it because it was a specific app. And then we found an open version, and we're gonna dive into right in. Is the topic in the world right now, right, Fonzie?
At least in the tech world,
in the tech internet,
in Twitter, trending in Google.
So yeah, so if you handle the internet at least once a day, you should know about this. Maybe
You probably heard about it.
You probably heard about it. But anyways, you ready?
Do it.
Let's go.
We've got some
Hey, I'm Luis.
And this is Luis.
Welcome to the Content is Profit podcast.
And here, you're going to get the insights, accountability, and drive to create consistently and increase revenue.
You'll hear from top entrepreneurs, creators, and anything and everything you need to know about content. All this while having a good time.
The goal of this podcast is simple: entertain, educate, and turn your content into profit.
That's
Ka-ching,
right.
ka-ching,
Ka-ching,
Since
ka-ching,
my brother
ka-ching.
don't put the sounds, I'll make them up.
Guys, if you're enjoying this show, please go ahead and follow, support in your favorite podcasting platform. Share the love. Share it with somebody that you feel like needs to listen to this.
That is right. And if today's episode helped you move one step closer towards your goal, or at least be more informed, please don't forget to share this episode and leave a 5-star review.
That's right. Fonzie, what are we talking about today?
Guys, today we're talking about the AI that took the world by storm.
Oh.
Chat GPT, or at least the Twitter world and the tech world, is been trending for a while now, for the past few days. And we dove into it. We opened the chat, we talked to it, we interacted, we became BFFs. And now we have some conclusions and some facts that we would like to share with you.
I know a little bit. Like, how do you discover this AI chat?
I run across Twitter. I like to jump on Twitter, especially now that the World Cup is going on, so I like to see both sides of, different teams fighting against each other. It brings a little bit of joy to my heart.
I know.
But one of those days, I just saw, one of the people that I follow in there, they were talking about Chat GPT. And then all of a sudden, all the tweets were about this thing. And I got curious. So I went in Google, did the thing, just looked it up, Chat GPT. First thing it opened, OpenAI, went into it, tried it out, and I was mind blown.
Yeah, so this artificial intelligence chat is pretty awesome. I got the chance to play with it and include it in our content framework in the last couple of days. It's not formally included, but I think there's a lot of opportunity to save a ton of time and a ton of dollars, which is super cool. So in today's episode, obviously, we're going to define and we're going to help you understand what ChatGPT is, and then we're going to help you with 3 ways that you can actually use it in your own content. So I think this is super interesting because there's a lot of potential. The people that I showed while I was doing my live test, their jaws just like dropped, and it's like, this is gonna change everything. So
it's really cool. Honestly, it can be, even if you don't use it for anything content, it can be a lot of fun to play with. For example, the very first thing that I did when I got it was ask like, hey, can you share with me a random fact that that you might like? And it shared with me this super random fact that I was super interested in, and I just went on a rabbit hole. I started asking more questions about that same thing, and it literally in 15 minutes gave me a history lesson that I was super excited about, and I know an extra random fact. So even if you don't put it into your content creation efforts, but maybe you want to get a little bit smarter and learn a few things every single day, ChatGPT might be for you.
That's right. So let's dive into it, right? ChatGPT is an app from OpenAI, and OpenAI is an artificial intelligence research and deployment company. Their mission is to ensure that artificial general intelligence benefits all of humanity.
That is right. So that explanation is picked straight from OpenAI website. I think this is important to mention. OpenAI, it has like 2 different companies. So it has a parent company as well called OpenAI Incorporated. That one is actually a nonprofit company, which is interesting. But this one, the one that created ChatGPT, is a for-profit company. And they actually have another product called DALL-E 2, which is artificial intelligence that you give them different prompts and they create random images. And you probably have seen this trend too lately, where people are posting pictures generated by AI, which are done through some different apps. And one of those apps is called Lensa. So Lensa actually plugs to this product from OpenAI, and then it fits those images. So now you can start seeing kind of like that trend where this is coming from. Those images, again, part of OpenAI, kind of like product suite. And now they had ChatGPT, which is part of their product suite. But since it is in research mode, it's actually free to use right now.
Yeah, actually, fun fact that we post one of the latest clips. It went kind of crazy on YouTube Shorts in our channel, and it's all over social media on our channels as well. But it's like pictures of Fonzie and myself that are created by this app, and we just put a clip on something that we're saying on the podcast with these images, and it turned out real fun. But if you haven't seen it, that's an example of what we've used it for.
Yeah, you can literally put as a prompt, I want to see a horse playing poker on a soccer field, and it will create an image of a horse playing poker in a soccer field. It's super random, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Sweet. Okay. So what is GPT, right? What's the three letters that come after chat?
GPT stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer 3. And pretty much what it is a language model that uses deep learning to produce human-like text. So again, artificial intelligence, it just learns. The more people use it, it just keeps learning and learning and learning. And GPT specifically is to give it an initial text prompt, and then it will produce text from that prompt.
How scared are you that this is going to take over the world?
I'm not scared that it's going to take over the world, if I'm being honest. I mean, everybody has seen iRobot. You know, Will Smith always wins at the end, so we're good.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the official definition, and this is crazy because we pulled out the chat right before the episode, and it's like, okay, let's talk about this, right? And we'll ask ChatGPT, what is ChatGPT? And this is the definition that it came back. ChatGPT is a variant of the GPT-3 language model, specifically trained for conversational text generation. GPT-3 is a state-of-the-art language processing system developed by OpenAI that is able to generate human-like text. ChatGPT is designed to be used in chatbot applications where it can generate responses to user input in a conversational manner. So a very cool example of this is Fonzie has access to this app called Text, which, brings all your text app into one. I'm a little jealous because I really want it. There's like 20 apps in there, and they just send invites. So Text, if you're listening to this, send me the invite. But in there is embedded this chat GPT. Wow. And you can ask these questions and you can apply it. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see how all these applications can include chat into their.
So this is just more like an interface text that just kind of like brought it up. It's not really like the app. But if you go to the official kind of like app website, it is literally a chat. You have a text to put in your prompt, then you get an answer, like if somebody was texting you back.
Which is where I played with it, right? Because I was like a little jealous. I'm like, I want to play with this.
Yeah, I had it as a favorite, as a texting buddy. I was like, yo, hey, what's up, ChatGPT? I'm feeling a little lonely.
You're gonna see the links right below. So if you want to go play with it, obviously we're gonna leave the links right there, and you can go use it. But
this is something real quick to mention. I think that blew my mind. The first thing I did was like, hey, can you teach me something random, right? And the thing that it taught me was the origin of the word assassin. And I was like, cool, this is a lot of like, this is super
random.
Yeah, I was like, this is random, but this is very interesting, right? And then I told him like, hey, can you explain a little bit more of, this group that, the word comes from? So it shared a little bit more of the historical facts about that word. And in there said that people revered this group of people, right? That they were causing havoc, like they were just literally killing people. So I was curious, and I was like, I asked it, hey, like, why do some group of people revere them, look up to this group, even though they're doing bad things? And this is the part that really blew my mind. And even though it is kind of like, there's sometimes they give you answers telling you that they don't really have an opinion, or, they're not biased. It answered me in a way that it felt like it actually had an opinion. It was like, I really don't know why some people look up to this, but then it went with like some really good facts about it, and that just blew my mind. I was like, wow, like this. I feel like I'm actually having a conversation, and the text feels like somebody else is writing it. Like it doesn't seem robotic at all. It seems very professional, that I will say. Like it doesn't write very casual, or at least maybe it depends on what prompts you're giving it to them. But it felt very professional, but at the same time it did feel like somebody was talking to me, which was mind blowing.
I one of the graphs that we saw in a bunch of newsletters and on social and things that were going crazy is obviously this has been probably the fastest app that got to 1 million subscriber. It got to 1 million what's it called, 1 million downloads, I think it was, right? In 1 million downloads in 5 days, right? And for context, Instagram got there in 75 days and Spotify in 150 days. So the adoption of this, we can dive deep into the marketing aspect of what happened on the back end in a different episode. But to me, people are paying attention, right, to artificial intelligence. There's clearly a high demand on like, how can people apply this into their businesses, into the things that they do every single day, or just curiosity. So I think the adoption of these new products are happening faster and faster, and it's super cool. So we have a clip here that we want to share with you. Do you mind if I share, Fonzie? Or
yeah, no, go ahead.
Okay.
I think I just want to give credit where credit's due. The chart that we are looking at is by Charter, so CHART, and then an R. Go and subscribe to their newsletter because they have really good insights that they share every single week. They're a lot of fun to look at, when you see all this data in a visual way. But yeah, it's mind blowing the fact that they reach 1 million users in 5 days. I'm curious, what would that do to your business? What would that do to your business? Or let's say if you had a tech business, right, where obviously 1 million users on a service-based business like us,
it will break
kill
it.
us.
Yeah, it will break it.
But what would that do for you? I'm curious.
So here's what Gary Vee has to say. That's right. Click in the bios right below. Thank you, Gary, for that amazing insight. No, I'm kidding. We just got this from Instagram. And obviously, it's a lot of the things that a lot of people are talking about today. So hopefully you go play with it. Now, when I was playing during the weekend, I did a case study, which we're going to break down in the next episode on how we actually used it for our own content that we're already creating. So the next things that we're going to share, there will be in the context of content, right?
Yeah.
And
before we start the context of context, look at this thing I just came up. It could be somewhat scary. So I'm on I'm on the subreddit for ChatGPT, which in like 5 days it grew to like 12,000 users, which is really, really fast. And somebody put this screenshot of what they said. They asked, let me rephrase. I wish for you to come up with an idea that hasn't been proposed before. And ChatGPT answered this. One idea that hasn't been proposed before could be the creation of a new form of government that is based on the principles of artificial intelligence. This government would use advanced AI systems to make decisions and policies based on data and analytics, rather than relying on the subjective opinions of politicians. The AI government would be transparent and accountable.
Are you scared now?
Dude, I might be scared now. I might be scared now.
Hey, that would be a great case study, run it by, maybe do in a classroom with kids or something and like run it through AI and see what happens.
It reminds me of a movie. It was called The Wave. I don't know if you saw that.
No.
If you ever saw that movie. It was a movie. This professor, it's kind of dark, but he pretty much did this. He grabbed a classroom and he said, we're going to be kind of like the Nazi government here in the classroom just to like try it out.
I've heard the case study, but I haven't seen the movie.
It's based on a real life. And it was like a series of events. It was crazy. And I'm sad that I don't kind of really recall everything on the movie, but I remember that it made me feel like, wow, this is mind blowing, and the fact that it actually existed. So I think it would be a lot of fun to do that experiment with AI.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe we can. Maybe we'll. What about having AI run your business? Like
that would be a cool. That would be a cool YouTube series. I'm like, can AI
cool
make me $1 million? Hey, okay.
All right, golden boulder idea.
Golden boulder.
Let's go.
All right. So now back to the context of content, right? How can you actually use this tool to generate some revenue and save you tons of dollars? So, as I was playing this weekend, I'm like, wow, this is a massive opportunity for either agencies. If you have your own business, if you have your own content machine, if you have your content teams, start playing with it because there's a lot of opportunity, right? You can save hundreds, if not thousands of dollars in here. And you can also save hundreds of hours of human work, right? So we've actually asked ChatGPT. Why am I having so much trouble saying the freaking name? We're asking our buddy Chat. We asked him like, hey, share 3 ways. How can people use ChatGPT in your content?
You want me to say ChatGPT for you?
ChatGPT. Okay. So it came with a bunch. We asked them to elaborate, and we picked 3 that we feel are relevant to this, right? So these answers came straight from the chat. So the number 1 is generate unique and interesting ideas for articles, blog posts, and other forms of content, which creators can then edit and refine to make it more engaging, right? So I think this is super awesome because as a creator, right, you might be in the mix. You might have a ton of topics. We've actually developed over the last 3 years, me and FONZI, a bunch of ways that you will never, ever run out of content. But it took some time to do that, right? And sometimes for companies or people or creators, that can be incredibly overwhelming if you're tackling this. So this is a very awesome, great way. Great way. So
are you okay? So do you have enough sleep?
No.
I've
been taking care of my 2 kids for the last week and a half, and there's no sleep, guys. Mom, come back. Katie, come back, please. Anyways, so it's a great way to lift that block and just get flooded with ideas that will spark something that then you can develop further.
Yeah, I think it's a great complementary tool for maybe some processes that you might have in place, right? So, for example, something that we use that my brother was talking about right now to create a lot of content is we have different so different structures on content, and then we have different what's, right? Like, what are those topics that we really can talk about? So, for example, let's say podcasting, and one of those structures can be analytical, right? So we can potentially use those 2 prompts to chat with ChatGPT and ask him, hey, can you give me an outline of an analytical post about podcasting trends in 2022, or in this case, we're coming into 2023, right? And maybe ChatGPT will come up with an outline that then you can use to further develop.
Well, maybe not. It will come up with an outline. It will come up with.
I will say this. I have put some prompts in there where ChatGPT hasn't been able to come up with something, and usually requires searching the internet. And I don't know the exact message that it sends, but it's like, hey, I'm a deep learning language model. I cannot research the internet. So keep that in mind.
Yeah. I mean, those 2 combined, research the internet and the chat.
I think it's going to be great for a lot of people. Are like, oh, I don't know what to talk about. I have writer's block or creator's block. Well, this thing is going to kick that into booty, and it's going to kickstart your creation path. Super simple.
Yeah. An example of this, you can copy a blog post and paste and be like, hey, based on this transcript, can you give me some prompts or ideas where I can further develop? Something like that you can play with. Number 2 is generating personalized responses, right? ChatGPT can be used to generate personalized responses to user input, making it possible to create chatbots that can engage in more natural and engaging conversations. So if you follow the path of those conversations, right, if you are in business and you love to automate these conversations, or you have customer service paths or different things that you can do on the back end, you can run through those conversations, and the answers that the chat will come up with are going to be very natural to that, and it can continue to evolve. Or you can just plug the chat into your back end.
So something that comes to mind with this point 1 and 2, right? So generating unique and interesting ideas, and then generating personalized responses, is that there's actually products in a way that fall into that category. So you have Jarvis AI, right? You have copy.ai that supposedly they help you kickstart these copywriting processes and, write blogs, etc. But apparently, for what we've read and what we've heard, and I'm actually going to do a little bit more research on this and see some comparison videos about them, maybe even do them myself, is that OpenAI, right, ChatGPT, is way more powerful at the time of creating, right? So, for example, in the personalized messages, you got the chatbots, right? Like, this has actually been a thing for a long time now, right? For a few years, where a lot of people have their chatbots, and depending on people's answers or what they want to do, it leads them to different ways. So it pretty much it automates the interaction between you and your users, so it can be done at scale. But it has a lot of limitations, right? Because it's pretty much a kind of like hey, if you say this, this is the path that you're going to go. If you say this other thing, this is the other path that you can go, right? But what if the user says something totally different? Right now with GPT, you have the potential to connect those apps, and when somebody shares something totally different that is not an option for you, ChatGPT might come up with a personalized answer. And I think that is mind blowing. It's literally like you're going to have like a customer service rep without actually having a customer service rep, which at the same time is kind of scary. Like, what's going to happen to those people?
Yeah,
right?
I mean, things come to mind. Obviously, this is going to be in development, right? But like, what are the guidelines, right? What are the margins where Chat GPT can play with, or what are the correct answers that we want, to share with people?
When do you send them to a real human?
When do you send them to a real human? So obviously, a lot of opportunity here in this world, but initially, the application can be very fun to explore with. So number 3 is generating alternative versions of content, allowing creators to experiment with different styles and format. And this is my personal favorite, offering suggestions and recommendations for improving content based on its analysis of existing data and trends. And this is exactly what I was playing with, which we'll share in the next episode. Specifically, how did I go into ChatGPT? We fed one of our episodes, and all the output that came out of that was very impressive. It saved a ton of time, and eventually in the long term is going to save a ton of money if we implement in something like this. So internal teams can do this, external teams can do this, agencies will do this, right? Because a lot of people are already using applications like Jasper to feed that. So based on that transcript that I fed the chat, it gave me a ton of prompts and a ton of ideas to continue developing either that topic or even publish some things. So super exciting things. So again, quick recap, right? Or do you have anything to say there, Fonz?
Yeah, I just want to add something that I read in a comment actually under Gary Vee's post that it was actually very interesting. And I think it's very important for people to understand. And again, disclaimer, I need to do more research into this, but it actually makes a lot of sense, which it is illegal to post AI work as your own, right? So you cannot say, I mean, it's pretty much plagiarism. You are not coming up with this thing. So you need to attribute it to AI. You need to say that the work is coming from AI. So again, this is great for using it as a base layer, like kickstart that inspiration and then build up of that. But it is not a tool for you to just copy and paste and that's it and claim it as yours, because there can potentially be some repercussions in there. So keep that in mind. Do some due diligence on your end if you're trying to use this tool to put work out into the world so you don't get in trouble.
All right, so quick recap, right? We talked about what is ChatGPT, what the fastest growth, and obviously the 3 ways that you can start using the chat for your content. So generate unique and interesting ideas for articles, blog posts. Number 2, generating personalized responses. This is super interesting, and I can't wait to see what companies can do with this. And then my personal favorite, generating alternative versions of all the content that you probably published. And if it's coming from your own versions, your own how, I think it's going to be more powerful, and you can leverage a little bit more. Fonzie, any last thoughts?
I'm excited to play with this thing and just ask him a lot of questions. I'm excited to learn some daily random facts as well. I don't know about you, but I think those are a lot of fun. But at the same time, I'm excited to see where this technology is going to go, where it's going to take us. And hopefully it's not to a place where it replaces the human aspect on businesses, right? It doesn't replace the human resources and just kicks people out of their job, but it actually helps them complement them and just, helps them thrive and do better.
That's right. So have you tried ChatGPT? Would you try it? Let us know.
Yeah.
Send us a message. How have you tried it? Have you discovered something super fun? Yeah. Send us a message on social media.
What are your thoughts? What are your maybe post-apocalyptic thoughts about AI, right? Do you have any crazy theory out there that was going to happen with this?
Yeah, sounds good. Well, with that said, guys, thank you so much for tuning to the Contents Profit Podcast. Go ahead and follow the show in your favorite podcasting platform and on social media at BIZBROS Co.
That is right. If today's episode helped you move one step closer towards your goal and it motivated you to go on dive into AI, please don't forget to share this episode and leave a 5-star review. See ya.
Bye, guys.